Hello everyone. While General Director Toan was absent, the silence of his love became the stage for a cruel decision. His mother, with words sharp as a blade, made a choice that cut deeply into Tu Diem's fragile heart. In that moment, Tu Diem was left standing between two paths. Would she remain silent, swallowing her pain in tears, or would she dare to protest and awaken the strength hidden within her soul? The hurt was real, like a wound that refused to heal, yet sometimes pain becomes the very spark of transformation. Unintentionally, Toan's mother pushed Tu Diem to a turning point, a place where love is tested, dignity is weighed, and fate waits silently to see if she will break or rise. The sun had just begun to sink behind the hills when Tu Diem heard the sound of a car stopping in front of the farmhouse. Her heart skipped a beat. She thought it might be Toan returning early, but instead, a figure stepped out with the same stern presence that always carried an air of authority: Toan's mother. From the moment she walked into the yard, her eyes were cold, scanning every corner of the simple home as if it were a place unworthy of her son. "Tu Diem," she said, her voice firm and heavy, "I came here because this must end. My son will not tie his life to a girl with no family, no wealth, nothing to offer. Leave this place before he comes back." The words cut through Tu Diem like sharp blades. She stood frozen, her hands trembling, but her eyes refused to look away. For a moment, silence stretched painfully between them. Every memory of Toan's kindness, every moment of laughter they had shared, rushed into her heart. She wanted to scream, to defend herself, to prove that her love was real. Yet the weight of rejection pressed heavily on her chest. Her voice finally broke the silence, soft yet steady. "Madam, I have never sought wealth or position. I only wanted to be by Toan's side, to care for him as a woman who loves him. If that is not enough for you, then perhaps my love is too small in your eyes. But in my heart, it is everything." For a second, Toan's mother's expression wavered, but pride quickly returned. She turned away, leaving behind a silence filled with unspoken pain. That night, Tu Diem sat alone in the garden. Tears welled in her eyes, but they no longer fell from weakness. They carried a strange strength. She realized she was at a turning point. Either she would surrender to fear and walk away, or she would rise above the wound and protect her love. When Toan's sister arrived later with her husband, they found Tu Diem pale but calm. Tu listened to every word, then gently held her hands. "Diem, don't let her words break you. Toan loves you, and I believe in your heart. Time will speak for you both." The farmhouse, once filled with sorrow, began to breathe again with warmth as Tu and her husband stayed by her side. Yet deep inside, Tu Diem knew this was only the beginning. Toan's mother had struck the first blow, but instead of destroying her, it awakened something stronger: the courage to fight for her own destiny. The following morning, the air was crisp, carrying the scent of dew and earth. Tu Diem walked through the garden barefoot, her mind heavy with thoughts. She replayed every word Toan's mother had spoken, each one like a stone pressing against her chest. Yet alongside the pain, a quiet determination had begun to grow. She whispered to herself, "If my love is true, it should not vanish just because of someone's judgment. But how long can I bear this storm?" By midday, Toan returned from his business trip. His face lit up the moment he saw her, but Tu Diem's forced smile did not escape his sharp eyes. "Diem, what's wrong? You look as if you've been crying." For a moment, she hesitated. Should she tell him? Should she burden him with the truth that his own mother had demanded her departure? Her heart wavered, torn between silence and honesty. Before she could decide, Tu stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Toan, you should know. Mother came here while you were gone. She told Diem to leave. She said Diem is not worthy of you. The words hit Toan like a lightning strike. His hands clenched, his jaw tightened. He looked at Tu Diem, who lowered her eyes, ashamed of something that was never her fault. His heart ached. How could love so pure be treated with such cruelty? He took her hands in his. Diem, listen to me. You saved my life. You gave me strength when I was lost. No one, not even my mother, can erase that truth. I will not let you go. Not now, not ever. Tu Diem's eyes brimmed with tears, but this time, they were tears of relief. Yet deep inside, a fear still lingered. She knew Toan's mother was not a woman who gave up easily. Her decision, her rejection, was only the beginning of a larger battle. That night, Toan held Diem close, as they sat by the window, watching the moon rise above the fields. Whatever comes, he whispered, we face it together. And for the first time since the confrontation, Tu Diem allowed herself to breathe, not because the danger had passed, but because she no longer stood alone. Days passed, but the shadow of Toan's mother's visit lingered over the farmhouse like an unspoken storm. Tu Diem tried to hide her unease, pouring herself into daily tasks, watering the flowers, preparing meals, tending to the small garden. Yet every quiet moment reminded her of those harsh words. Toan, meanwhile, could not remain silent. One evening, he returned to the city and went straight to his mother's home. She greeted him with calm composure, as though nothing had happened. But Toan's eyes carried fire. Mother, he said, his voice low but steady, why did you go to see Diem? Why would you tell her to leave me? His mother did not flinch. Because I had to. That girl has no family, no future, no standing. She will only drag you down. You are a general director, Toan. Your life cannot be wasted on a woman like her. The words stabbed at him, but he did not raise his voice. Do you know who she is to me? She is the one who saved me when I was lost, when no one else could reach me. She gave me back my strength, my hope. If that is not worthy, then what is? For the first time, his mother's expression faltered. Yet pride held her tongue. Love is blind, Toan. One day, you will regret this. No, he said firmly, his eyes unwavering. The only regret I would have is if I let her go because of your judgment. I will not abandon Tu Diem. Not now, not ever. Back at the farmhouse, Tu Diem waited anxiously. She had sensed that Toan would go to confront his mother, and fear twisted inside her, fear of being the cause of division between mother and son. When Toan finally returned, his steps were heavy, but his arms were strong as they wrapped around her. She will not accept us easily, he admitted, his voice thick with both sorrow and determination. But I will stand by you, no matter what storm comes. Tu Diem closed her eyes, leaning against him. She knew the road ahead would not be gentle. Yet, in that moment, she also knew this. Pain had awakened her, and Toan's love gave her courage. What was once fragile had now become unshakable. The following week brought no peace. Rumors began to ripple through the city, whispers among business partners, curious glances from acquaintances, subtle remarks about the mysterious girl who had entered the life of the general director. Toan ignored them, but Tu Diem felt the weight of every stare. One afternoon, while Toan was away at the company, she decided to visit the city market. She wore a simple dress, carrying a small basket of vegetables from the farmhouse. At first, no one paid much attention, but soon, she heard the voices of women murmuring, glancing at her. Is that the girl Toan is protecting? One asked, her tone sharp with disdain. They say she's nothing, an orphan, poor, without family. How can she belong in his world? The words burned, but Tu Diem lifted her head and walked past them with quiet dignity. She refused to let strangers define her worth. Yet inside, her heart ached. How long can I endure this storm? How long until Toan's love is tested beyond measure? That evening, she sat in the farmhouse, gazing at the flickering lamp. When Toan returned, she finally spoke what had been locked in her heart. Toan, maybe your mother is right. Maybe I am not enough for your world. I don't want to be the reason you lose your family or your reputation. Toan knelt in front of her, taking her trembling hands in his. His eyes shone with fierce devotion. Diem, listen to me. You are not the reason I lose anything. You are the reason I have everything. Love, hope, the will to fight. Without you, all of this, he gestured to his life, his work, his home, means nothing. Her tears spilled freely, but this time they were not only of sorrow, they carried the light of awakening. For the first time, she felt that her love was not a weakness to be judged, but a strength to be protected. That night, Tu Diem whispered to herself, I will not run anymore. If I am to face his mother, if I am to face the world, then I will do it with courage, because love is my truth. The turning point had come, and though the battle with Toan's mother was far from over, Tu Diem was no longer the fragile girl who endured in silence. She was ready to rise, even if it meant standing against the storm with nothing but her heart. The story of Tu Diem and Toan is not simply about love. It is about courage, dignity, and the strength to stand against prejudice. Tu Diem, though poor and without family, carried within her something greater than wealth, an honest heart, and a love that refused to be shaken. Toan's mother, blinded by pride and societal expectations, saw only what was missing in Tu Diem's life, not what she could bring to her son's heart. From this, we learn an important truth. True value is not measured by status, background, or possessions, but by the sincerity of one's character. People may try to judge us by what we lack, but our worth lies in what we give: kindness, loyalty, and love. Tu Diem's journey also reminds us that pain can be a turning point. The harsh words that wounded her became the very force that awakened her strength. Instead of surrendering, she chose to rise and face the storm with courage. Life will always place obstacles before us. But these challenges are not meant to break us. They are meant to reveal the power we carry within. And finally, Toan's devotion teaches us that love is not about perfection, but about choosing each other despite the world's disapproval. True love stands firm, not because it is easy, but because it is willing to endure, protect, and believe. In the end, the lesson is clear. Never let others define your worth. Never be ashamed of your truth, and never underestimate the strength of a heart that dares to love.